Hey, what's going on? We are on. We should be live. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're gonna draw today. This is drawing day. This is kind of my selfish live stream, honestly, because I feel like I need to rest from all of this very intense week. And I didn't feel like painting really, and I do feel like I'm very rusty with drawing. Let me switch over to my face. There I am. Feel very rusty with drawing, which is why I prefer to do that. So it's kind of a selfish video where I practice and you join in, but I will of course try and make it educational. Let me know how you're doing and where you're from, what time it is, what's up, and we'll get to it. So let's see who's here. Hey Nikki, still awake at almost 1 a.m. So hoping to be joining you from New Zealand. Shall throw some more wood on the fire, winter here, and grab a quick coffee and earphones as everyone else is fast asleep. That's awesome. I really appreciate you being here super late. Feel free, of course, to go to sleep and catch this on the replay tomorrow. But of course, if you're here, feel free to ask any questions you have. Everyone, Nikki and everyone else. And I'd be happy to help however I can. Mark, how are you doing? Good morning. I hope you can take a minute to show us the equipment you use for doing digital drawing. Yeah, so I've been asked about this. I will actually do another video on that. I'll write a note for myself because I'm sure I'll forget this. Digital drawing setup. Yeah, I should show you. I just showed it real fast in the video, in the Clip Studio video, right? Clip Studio Paint. But yeah, definitely, I'll try and do that. That'll be great. I do have, just a quick note, I do have this, where it is, it's here, the tablet. There, I'm using a Huion canvas, which I'm quite happy with. I got it for a great price. And that some people prefer just a tablet to small thing you can actually take with you. I've seen professional artists work on iPads, so everything goes pretty much. But I will make a proper video. Hey Gabrielle, how are you doing? Nice to hear you live. Thank you so much. Hey Daiji, you updated your profile pic, right? Welcome. Thank you for being here. Dr. T, how are you doing? Maggie, Michigan, 9 a.m. Cool. Thank you so much for being here. John, hi Liron, I hope you are well, my friend. Thank you so much. Artie, which brand are your watercolors from? A big mix. I'm a fan of many brands. I use Daniel Smith. I love M. Grams. M. Grams are among my favorites. White Knights are great price too. Hey Jill, I see you. Thank you so much for being here. SAA, Shinhan PWC. I think Daniel Smith is a surefire kind of high-end paint. Schmenke is also good. And then you have the slightly cheaper option, which is White Knights. If you can get them for cheap, they're great quality. By the way, I finally fixed the webcam issue, so the quality now should be a little better, a little sharper, and hopefully it's not going to crash on us. We'll start drawing soon. Hey James, how are you doing? Hi Liron, greetings from sunny and hot London. We're having a heat wave. Wow, yeah, I heard about it. Are we going to talk about the Loomis method to draw the head? Yeah, we can discuss that. I will probably freestyle it a bit. I mean, I will use it. You're gonna see, we're gonna draw, and I've shown this. We're gonna draw cube or polygon faces. So you're gonna see a lot of these things. That really show the planes of the face. I find that's a good way of studying the simplified shapes. That's a very helpful thing. Now, by the way, I didn't mention, in the description box you'll find two links. One is the 3D model, so you can actually open it up and rotate it exactly as I show it. I did a lot of screenshots, so I have photos for you, and then you have a link for the photos if you want the exact angle. But you can also click that 3D model, rotate it however you want, and just use it like that, and I love that kind of a thing. I love that website. I forgot the name, but I love that website in general. It's really useful for that kind of a thing. But yeah, we have a lot of comments. Thank you so much everyone for being here. Did Diaries says, hello, I finally managed to get to a live stream. Greeting from Italy. Thank you so much for being here. Ahmad, yo, I've never taken part of any art webinars. I'm looking forward to begin designing my own tattoo projects. Oh, cool. Yeah, tattoo artists are just incredible. And I think if you have a lot of good fundamental knowledge, you can do so much with it because some of the prettiest, most complex art I've seen is in tattoos, so it's very useful. Hey Megan, hello everyone, so happy I could make the stream, excited to practice some drawing. Megan, by the way, so I filmed a video answering a bunch of your questions, everyone, from the post I did back then, and I skipped yours accidentally, so I had to record another section and splice it in, so you'll see this on Saturday. It's going to be a fun one. Amanda Bradley, hello from Ontario, Canada. Nikki, Lollipop Strawberry, how are you? Jill's Super Life, glad to catch you live. A new sub, thank you so much. Really enjoying your videos. A total midlife beginner and learning so much from you. Thank you, that's awesome. Yeah, it's really very early. Don't worry, you can learn a lot fast. Els Chimes, good day to all. So happy to join this live video for the first time. Interested in this topic. Hey, we have a lot of first time viewers. That's awesome. I hope for some goodies. Yep. Hopefully we'll get that done, Ahmad. K Court, good morning. Beautiful day in South Florida. Awesome. What pencils are you using? Jill asks. I'm going to be using very simple number 2 HB pencils. You don't need anything fancy. The way I sharpen them is a little weird. I follow Proco's method, so I basically use this kind of a knife and I go like this and really get them sharp. And then I have sandpaper. I do this thing so that the tip is a little longer. It gives me a bit more freedom. You'll see this in just one second. That's cool to have a 3D model available. Yep. The model is very useful. By the way, I have a physical 3D model. We could use that another time. Lisbeth, hello from Sweden. Love your advices. Thank you so much. Yeah, Lollipop, we're going to draw lots of faces. Simplified. Amy, hi from Akron, Ohio. Still happy with Rosa 2 paints. Yeah, they're great. I love them. Especially the turquoise one is super useful. Let's see here. Random Peacock. Hi, you literally taught me watercolor. Love your videos. Thank you so much. Okay, yeah, Jill says it froze. Let me know if you can see me well. I see myself well. So we'll get to it. Let's do... By the way, but we're going to do this. And we're going to start with a pretty straightforward one. The face is just in the front. And let me see and make sure that we're in the right spot here. Yeah, we're good. So I'm going to start with just a circle. I didn't warm up, by the way. So the way I usually warm up is by drawing tons of circles and lines in all directions. But we'll skip that for today. That's fine. And here's where the Loomis thing comes to play. So what I like to do is indicate if the head is tilted up or down. So for example, right now I'm looking straight at you. Am I like this? Am I like that? This one's straight ahead. So we're going to do this. And that's going to indicate there is no angle. So for example, if I were to look up, the line I'd be using would have been something like this. Okay? That means I'm looking up. And if I were looking down, we'd be doing, and let me make sure you can see this, yeah, we'd be doing something like this. Okay? Looking from below, from above, that's the kind of thing you get. And this is going to have a strong emphasis on three-dimensionality because I am trying to, the head itself is full of the different planes of the face, and that's a very useful thing for us. By the way, the camera is at a bit of an angle, so my apologies on the paper. It's just the most comfortable setup for me to draw, so account for that little skewing, okay? So it's going to look hopefully accurate enough on your end. Now, let's find the middle line. Now, this is the easiest, looking straight at us. So it's going to be just like that, okay? And again, if it's straight ahead, it's a straight line. But if we're looking to the side, you may end up with something like this, right? To the left side, to the right side, then to the left side, maybe an extreme view. So this person is essentially looking here, and this person is essentially looking here. That's actually a cool trick for you, just to give you an idea of what's going on here. So when you draw a circle, right, and you have the center lines, so I like to first draw this very weak line, and on that I'm going to base the tilt. So if I'm looking up, it's going to go like this, and this actually continues behind too, but you don't see it, right? So this goes around the face, to the back, around and back here, right? So you're going to see, you don't have to measure here or anything, it's going to be more intuitive. So this goes from the front and to the back, right? Now we can actually use two colors to show you. So let's use red for the front So it's going to be this kind of a thing, right? And then the back is going to be in the pencil. And then if we're going to do a tilt to the left, look at what's going to happen here. So this person is looking up and left. So look at what's going to happen here. Do you see this intersection and this intersection of the back? That's going to indicate the direction to where this person or this, whatever ball is facing, right? So that's a really cool, again, you can see it here too. It goes here, goes there. It's a very complex thing, but let's try and just kind of let it sink, okay? And we'll continue with the face. So the way the face works is we have to cut off the sides of that ball. And that's how we chop basically the right and left sides of the face, that plane that faces to the side. The way that works is, again, that measurement of thirds, that's the Loomis way. So you measure 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 from the top and bottom, and then the top third, mark a line, bottom third, mark another line. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut out the side planes here, like so. Now, how wide is this oval? Why is it not like this? It will really depend on the angle from which we're seeing the head. Now, I actually made a little mistake here. It should probably be a little thinner. So something like this. Again, I haven't done my warm-up, so hopefully I'll get warmed up slowly as the live stream progresses. So this is us cutting out the sides. Now, again, my pencil's a little not sharp enough, but that's fine. We'll do a little cleanup, and we essentially cut out the sides of the face, okay? It's going to be this kind of a thing. And then we have this as where the eyebrows are. This is the eyebrow ridge, okay? So look at this line that we drew earlier. Remember, we measured thirds. We're going to duplicate this distance. We're going to do it like that. So that's approximately here. I'm going to do another straight line. That's the chin, okay? And this could be done a little more intuitively, so I'm just going to drop. I like to find the middle of these ovals. So let's say I have this kind of an oval. I'll find the center of it. Same for this one, right? If it was more open, I do the same thing. So a bit of a more open one, that's the center. Like this, that's the center, 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 center. And from that, I'm going to drop the line connecting to the chin. So it's going to be something like this. I'm winging it a bit. Feel free to be a little more, like actually measure this vertically. You can if you want to, or you can just drop this kind of a line and figure out where the turn happens. Down, close the angle, down, close the angle, right? And then we can get rid of some more guidelines. I'm gonna run through this example, and then I'll look at some of your questions, messages, and so on, and we'll get some chat things going. Here is one ear, and here is another ear. Something like this. Now, this is the hard part where we start establishing the planes of the face. So this is approximately where the nose is. It's going to be here. The mouth is about midway to the chin, so about here. And then the eyebrows are going to fall on this. So what you see here, you see there's this trapezoid shape where the nose is, around here. So that's going to be the keystone. That's what it's called. I'm going to try and kind of draw it in. Now, by the way, this model is not anatomically perfect. There's actually some variation. It's just one example, okay? So just know that. And that's going to be our keystone that leads to the nose. Something like that. That's putting the features of the face. That's much more complex. But I'm looking at what I'm seeing here 3D. Right, the 3D planes. This is the side, this is the temples, right? So the side of the face where the angle shifts. I'm focusing, so I'm sweating. It's always like that when I have to really focus on what I'm doing. Let me try and get it closer so you can see it from a bit of a better angle like this. Sorry for moving it around. Yeah, and so the nose is very interesting. The nose has a bottom plane, sides, and front. So what you see essentially is this is the front plane, and then it has the bottom that goes something like this, and then it has the side planes. So that's pretty much what we have here. So that goes down from here and down from there, and you can always measure and make sure you're accurate. Drop vertical and horizontal lines to find your measurements, and go like this, go like that. When I'm working from this kind of a three-dimensional model, my goal is to try and get some of those features in. But sometimes if I draw just the person, I'll just get a basic structure, and then I'll start putting in the facial features, the eyes and so on, without necessarily putting too much effort into the basic three-dimensional structure. I'll just go ahead and draw the eyes or whatever I see, right? The mouth, I'm very rusty with mouths, but basically you have the upper lip, lower lip, they're dented inwards, so that's the upper lip, lower lip from side view, if we were to look at it from here. So you have this kind of a dip in the middle. This goes here, and then you have the lower lip. And I think we're close to wrapping this one up. I'm not going to go into all the facial features. One other thing that can help is dropping a line from here to there. That helps finding from this point, the middle here that we found earlier, to the chin. That helps to find that shift of the cheek, right? The cheekbones. Sometimes I'll do it to the bottom of this circle that we have here, this oval, and that it can be even more accurate, but it connects to the mouth, as you can see here. I'm gonna do like a quick shading just for fun, but there's no need to do that. That's just for myself. I don't know, I like to sometimes do one like this. It's gonna be a nice warm-up. So I'm just putting everything that's in the shadow in a shadow. Not too dark of a shadow, right? Something like this. I kind of skipped some of the structure of the chin, that's fine. Bottom of the nose, cast a small shadow to the right. This is really hard. Everything here is super hard. I'm really still practicing a lot of it, so don't worry if it's tough for you to do. It's tough for me as well. And then for the darkest shadows, I'm just gonna go a little darker here. And ideally you'd work slower than me. I'm just trying not to bore you, but I'll probably work a little slower for the next examples. Something like this. Now if you want to be fancy, you can always bring like a blender thing to help smoothen out the shadows. Really not necessary, but you could do that if it feels too blurry for you. But you see, if you go into this much hassle just to get something accurate, you will end up with something nicer than, let's say, if you're just drawing intuitively, right? Because a lot of the thing with us watercolorists is there's a tendency to put a lot of emphasis on drawing, on painting. So you barely practice drawing, and then you end up, if I were to attempt to draw this face just intuitively, it would be super hard because I won't be able to measure. So I'll do something like this, right? I'm showing you, I'm no different than anyone else, right? If you actually just go for it, it's hard. So I'll probably follow the shadows I see, map them out, and I could get a decent result. But, and of course I'm doing this super quick right now, but if you put in the effort, you will end up with something that's a little nicer, I think. And not enough people who are into watercolor actually take the time to study these things, you know, anatomy. That's why you have the whole watercolor people phenomenon, where it's just, you know, a mark for the head. I do this all the time. I'm at fault of it, like the lines for the hands. The body is just kind of a square, and then the legs, and sometimes they look off. The relations aren't. Like, if you could just take a bit more time to spend on doing some studies like this, it's really going to help your watercolors too. Okay, let's take a look at some of your messages, and then I'll move on to another example. We'll do maybe side view, maybe we'll figure it out. I want to show you how I use a box to really get the shapes in. It's something I've shown you multiple times, but it's never enough, trust me. Maybe I'll do a warm-up too. Just remember, you're mid-moving, hoping it's going well. Yeah, exactly, Nikki. This is why we're doing this live stream. It's a little more, I could put a little less time and planning. I just want to practice drawing heads, basically. It's tough. There's always something to do, but we're still not even in the peak of hard work, so we're okay. Hello, Dazzling Action. How are you? What's your thoughts on the Loomis method or Riley? Riley, I'm less familiar with, but I know it's okay. It's like similar, right? And Loomis too, I like to use it. But the one thing with methods is at some point you want to let go of them and look at what's in front of you and actually measure it, right? My page is Happy Chaos. Yeah, that's cool. Can you increase your voice? Yeah, I can try. Let me know if you can't hear me well. I increased it a bit. Hopefully that's not too much. Let me listen to myself. Just 1 second. But the one thing with methods... Okay, yeah, that should be okay. And sorry for the quality. I don't have the mic here. I'm going to create a much better setup for you in the future, don't worry. So let's get rid of this one, and I'm going to bring in another image. So let me choose an interesting angle. Let's see what we've got here. I have a bunch of these, and you can go over to the first link I shared with you. That's where you'll see all of these. That's an interesting angle. I'll go with that. Let's do this. Make it smaller. Put it here, and I'll open it up on my end too. These angles are tough, you know, there's a lot of 3D structure that comes with it. I'm gonna try and do one that's a little more accurate, or maybe a little more slower, I guess. And let's see how I do here. I don't want to bore you, but I do want to maybe show you like a bit of a better process. Let me do a warm-up as I kind of look at the way I do a warm-up, I draw tons of dots on the screen, and then I just connect them. So I'll connect, and I'll put an emphasis on different directions. That's how you really get warmed up. Because I end up moving my hand in every possible direction. And then maybe you try and connect and you're off, so you fix it. See? That's one really good way I find of getting warmed up, making sure you draw lines in every direction. Now, what's another way of making sure you'll draw lines in every direction? That's doing a lot of these, because you end up moving it everywhere, like circular, right? But I'm going to start. This is the worst angle. This is the hardest one for me, of course. Do this, like that. See, I missed. I'm going to fix. A longer one, like that. That really helps as a warm-up. And then, after I feel okay with all directions, I'll go the other way too, not just like this, but like that. Once I feel comfortable, I will do a bunch of these, okay? A lot of them. Small ones, large ones, weak ones. You want to practice also not doing just fast lines, because that can become a crutch. Try being accurate with slow lines. This is huge. This is something I figured out relatively late, but once I put some emphasis on, let me see if I can get an accurate shape slowly, it really trains your muscles in a different way. And this is what it's all about, training our muscles to draw all of these shapes. So I actually feel a lot better, and with that we can move to another one. Let me go back to a more sharpened pencil, and we'll get another one going here. So, and hello Danger CG. Thank you for being here. So let's see. Okay, I'm gonna get started. I don't like this. Let me try this one. Should have sharpened them again before, because I sharpened them yesterday, and usually it's enough for at least like a day, 2 days or 3 days. Okay. One of the things you want to pay attention to is working a little weak at first. Don't go too dark, because that gives you room to go darker later on to fix mistakes and so on. So yeah, that's good. Don't worry, as I strengthen it, it's gonna be more visible. So first I drop a horizontal line to base on that the tilt of the head. So this head looks up slightly, right? It's not that big of an angle. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this to indicate that it's tilted up. Now, the good thing is, even if you messed up and you're not as accurate, you can still just go with what you did, because these are three-dimensional shapes. You just follow whatever you drew and accommodate for that. Not easy, but it is possible. And then we'll drop another line like this and indicate the tilt to the right. So this person's not like this, but a bit at an angle. right? And you can ghost it a bit if you feel uncomfortable or unconfident. Just do this, and you'll end up finding the placement. So that's pretty much accurate. I'm gonna take my time to delete some of these, erase some of these guidelines, and we eventually got a face that looks somewhere up there, right? That's the center point of that oval. Okay, now from there we want to cut out the side of the face, as we do. Now what you'll notice is the eyes are at an angle, right? Then we have an angle between the eyebrow or the socket and the ear. So these are the two angles I'm going to rely on, because it's very hard to work with just an oval. But when you have a box that kind of mimics what you see, let me show you a really cool trick I learned on how to figure these things out. You can draw an oval. If you want to draw this as a square, you see a bit of the bottom because it's up. You see a bit of the left side because it's to the right. And then you can create, based on that, a really neat little box to work with if you want to. You have this box, and now you know, whoops, what lines to follow. Right, faces this way. It's not the most accurate, but it's okay. It's good enough for our purpose. So, to cut out this side, we need to figure out, okay, where approximately is that switch from this side of the face to the eyebrow? And that happens around here, I would say. That's something that improves with time. It's not easy, but you'll get it, right? Now, earlier we divided to 3 parts, but now it's hard because the head is looking up. So how will you figure out the exact third? It's really hard. So the way I like to do this is I'll use this line, and then I'll drop a perpendicular, and that perpendicular line dictates the angle at which I'm going to cut this. And this is the dot. This point indicates the right side of where I'm going to cut, and then all I really have to do is go for it. That's going to be the side of the face that we see right here. Okay, that's going to be the front of the face. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and I'm going to cut this side out like this, and we pretty much, this is the middle, fixing it a bit, we pretty much got the face of that, again, upper part of the face. We can imagine the bottom plane like this, and then we can imagine the middle of this part, and this is the center line here. It's going to go down to the chin. Now where's the chin? So you have to connect, actually this should be like this. Let me get rid of some of our prep line. I said I'll keep it clean, and I end up making it quite a mess. But so the previous example, when we looked from the front, we had this line that we doubled. So this is the center. You see this? Yeah. This is the center, and this is that bottom line here. So we're gonna double it, but we'll add a bit of length here because it's closer to us. We're looking from below, or the head tilts upward, so this makes it a little closer to us. So adding a bit to account for that, for any perspective. And then we're gonna drop the chin, and then we're gonna connect to the chin. So again, the ear starts here. What you see here is the base of the ear. So let me try and get this line. I'm gonna go down, and then around here, that's where it's gonna turn and connect to the chin. Okay. The other side, I'm just gonna connect it directly, but we'll make it a little more accurate in a second. Okay. So we have the basic, again, shape of the face. The ear ends somewhere around here, starts here. So that's going to be like that. You can be a little more accurate anatomically, but we do see this side of the ear. This is a little too long, doesn't matter as much. And this is where the nose is going to be, mouth, proximate, and eyebrows. Okay, so now let's start finding the shape of the front of the face. So the way I showed it to you earlier, there's Proko calls it a rhythm line. So it's a line that goes somewhere around here. And you see how it defines that transition to the side of the face? So what ends up happening is, this is where the eye sockets begin. The eyebrows sit on top of that, sometimes above it a bit. So what's gonna happen is, I'm gonna find these two dots. This is the turn. It's too bad I didn't print this, I could show you, but this is where, again, the plane changes drastically. So this is essentially the side of the face, right? Let me know if I'm making sense, right? Sorry. Question, can you also draw a side view? Yeah, I will do one, of course. I have one prepared. Megan, I like this, the Loomis method. It really helped me understand the general proportions. But my circles aren't great, so my heads turn out lopsided. Yeah, so this is something to practice like I did in the warm-up. Just draw tons of these and you'll be good. It took me a long time and I still am not fully accurate, as you can see. Now we can actually use that center line to find the neck. Let's define the neck. And the neck is gonna connect down here at an angle, because the rib cage is at an angle. And what it connects to is actually the clavicle center, like the pit of the neck, what you'd call. And we have a muscle here, but that's not as important. But just to give it a bit of context, you know. So let's define this side of the face. So what happens is, it goes around, and then as it gets to the eye socket, we have a bit of a dip, and that's gonna be the bottom of the eye socket. I got it not as accurate. The ear should start a little lower, actually. So this goes here, the ear should start here. I actually see it now. Got it a little inaccurate. Like this. So this is the bottom of the sockets, right? Work slow. Take your time. Use a lot of guidelines. It's one of those things that you really need to make sure you take your time and get everything accurate. I have a lot of erasing here. So, eye sockets. There's this bump here for the cheekbone, and then it goes back down and connects to the chin. So that's pretty much the shape of the side of the face. This goes a little like that. And the rhythm goes here too. Same thing here. Can you see this sliver of darkness? That's a plane change again. Okay, so we're gonna start placing the smaller shapes now. So from this line here, we have this drop. This line is actually parallel, should be parallel to this line, by the way, in space. And then, as we reach the bottom of the eye socket, we have a bit of a plane change down here, and that merges with the area of the mouth, and you get this kind of a break, see? And this is this on the other side. They're both connected. Can you see how that works? Because the face is more complex. It's not just flat, right? It's not a square. It's actually, it has nuances. Some parts are inside, outside. It has a very interesting structure. We'll see in side view. Sally, definitely, I will save the replay. I'll save all of them, and you can follow this slower. Manisha says, during this, do the fingers touch the paper? Oh, my fingers? Yeah, it's not like they're not. Let me show you. It's a bit weird to explain. So I'm basically gliding on the paper. Sometimes they'll touch, sometimes they won't. Sometimes I'll use one to stabilize myself, but for the most part, for the ovals and circles and all of that, they don't touch. When I do this, when I do circles, they don't touch. Maybe my thumb just by accident, but they're not. I'm not using the paper. That's another hard thing you need to learn to do with time. You don't have to, but I mean it helps. Hey Richard, how are you? Okay, so we'll continue. And by the way, you see everything follows that that rectangle that we put earlier. Same kind of thing, right? These lines, this line is this line, right? You can almost place all of this here. The only difference is that now it's elongated because we added the chin. That's not the only difference, but it's a big difference. And then, see, and then we pull the line from here that connects there, right? It's almost like we added a triangle onto the box, right? So we're slowly building it up. Now, I actually think this is around the lower lip, but we'll get to that. I want to work slowly. So, from here, I'm not going to do, like the eye sockets here go like this. at an angle. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna use just a straight line like this, all the way to where the keystone starts. Now, this is the center, so this identical distance here, and it's probably gonna need to be a little longer, actually. So let's see, about here, I'd say. And then the same distance on the other side. This is eyeballing it. It's not going to be perfect. It's also not a measurement because things go farther away from us. So this will be longer on paper than this, even though in reality it's the same. And then we'll find the base of the keystone following these lines. See, this goes here. And by the way, again, I can help you with that. This is these lines, right? And then we have a green, so it's going to be this is this line, right? So you can see all axes. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. And then I'm really taking my time with this one. And then we'll connect. So this connects here. Notice what happens here. The angle is different. So when you have a trapezoid shape in perspective, this line is at this angle, but this line goes at a... See the difference in angles? It's very hard to understand immediately. You really need to start looking into perspective to get it. But basically, a trapezoid can be looked at almost as a square in space or a rectangle in space, where you measure, again, equal distances, and then you connect them, you see? That kind of a thing. But yeah, let's not go too much into that. Now let me get rid of this guideline here, and then it's gonna drop with the nose. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. The measurement of the nose is different because the nose is moving towards us at this angle, right? When you look from below, the nose is moving towards you, which makes it look shorter than it actually is. One of the best ways to get it right is not to just wing these lines, but get the base of the nose in. So the base of the nose is going to lie on this area here. And the way it's going to be is, again, this is the center line. And this part of the face is beveled a bit outwards. So let's say, I'm trying to really figure out, okay, this is this line here. So it's going to be to the left, and then an equal distance here. And look at what I'm going to do here. This is the bottom of the nose, and I'm connecting carefully like that. Okay, now the top of the nose, remember how I told you the head is tilted this way, this way, this way. This is similar, a similar angle, and it ends up around the middle of the keystone, funny enough. And this is the left side or right side of the nose, right? And then this is actually a straight line that's been made into a curve just like here, and we'll close it off like this. So we place this bottom shape of the nose this way. And then all we have to do is pretty much connect the dots. And that's how we got the nose in. Now, were we accurate? Is there stuff to fix? Of course, there probably will be. Like, I feel like this should be here and this should be here. So let's make the base of the nose a little larger. That's fine. Like this, like that. You know, make these fixes as much as you see fit. Now, the bridge of the nose, it's not just straight. Can you see how it goes thin and then thick, thin, and then thick? So there is a lot of nuances you can try and capture here if you want to. This is actually quite flat, so we don't need this bump here. And we essentially got the nose almost completely in. Now look at this line. Follows that same pattern as this line. Drops down, connects to the base of the nose. This other side we barely see. It's kind of hidden behind, right? And we place the nose in three-dimensionally. If you just want to see it a little better, this area is in the shadow, right? Now, when I'm drawing fast and more impressionistically, I'll just get the shape of the bottom of the nose in, and I trained myself to be able to do it with somewhat of an accuracy. But still, once you understand why these things are, it's much easier to get them more accurately. Okay? Hey Mamta, how are you? Nikki, oh, is that a better way? Is that a better way to hold a pencil for a lighter line? Just notice it's not for a lighter line necessarily. It's actually hard to do light lines, but it's better to do long curvy lines, because then you don't have to do this and move your hand over the paper. You can do everything here. And other thing, it gives you control over the width of the line, believe it or not, because you can go like this, and then you can go sharper with the tip. So I can go like this when I shade, and then I can go sharper, right? Thick, thin, thick, thin. Gives me more control to do a lot of things. Now I actually need to cut it a bit and expose more. Let's switch to this one. It gives you a bit more freedom and expressiveness with the pencil, doing it this way. Now we're really taking our time. I like it. I like it a lot. Really diving deep into this one. So let me know if this is useful or you're like, what is he doing? I know it's not easy, but here's one thing to talk about mindset a bit. So sometimes I'll feel like I'm turning off my brain and I'm going into autopilot. If you feel yourself doing that, that's when you know you need to slow down. Don't assume you know what something looks like, and if the goal is to learn how to draw this kind of a thing, right? Really, don't assume. So I could go like this and put a shape for the mouth, but is it what the mouth looks like? No. I'll wait, I'll measure, okay? Now there is one more, or two more lines rather, that can help us indicate the shape of the head, and you see one is like here and another one's like there, because that's when the plane starts to turn. So you can imagine this is facing forward, and here it goes a little to the side, and it goes around parallel to the green line. Okay, so this is a better, and you can do this exercise of doing, you know, they call it like a web or something like this, where you follow the shape, cross contour exercise, right? Where you follow these shapes and you try and indicate them, right? You can do a circle and try and, again, indicate those cross contour lines all around it. It's not an easy thing to do, but you end up with a lot of experience in three-dimensionality, okay? Trying to get you to explain the mindset, right? To understand the mindset, because that's the most important thing. Now, the mouth is hard. So I like the way Proco teaches it. The mouth is almost beveled outside. So what you end up with is on top of the face, you have this shape that's beveled outside, almost like the way he explains it is like a puffy tuna can. So imagine you have a tuna can, but it's puffy on the sides because it's beveled outside. You can see it in side view. It goes outside. So that's the kind of thing that you want to pay attention to. The lips are actually beveled forward. So it's a bit of a weird thing to get. We'll try and get it here. It's not going to be easy, but we'll try and get it. So when you look at the model, it's pretty clear that there is this roundedness to it, right? So it's almost like the lips sit on this, again, rounded shape. So let's find the middle, the in-between the two lips. And it starts around here. Now usually the lips end where the eyes begin in front view, but this is not front view, so it's a little more complex than that. But let's see if we can figure it out. From the nose, and again, I'm not that accurate because I probably mismeasured some things here because I'm going a little more of a, there we go. So I got this point here, and that's gonna connect to this point around here. So this should give us the approximate in between the lips. Okay? And there's actually a dip in the middle. Can you see this dip here? It goes inwards. It's very subtle. You don't even have to show it, honestly. But there's a bit of a dip there. But the most important part is from here we're going to pull a line that goes up. Now look at what we've got. We've got this. And same on the other side. Flat. And then it connects here to the base, right? I'm not as accurate here. This distance is not as good, but that's fine. And then from here, the bottom of the lip is going to be somewhere around here. And we even see it's the turning of the lip. Like that, and that's going to connect here, and we got the lips in. Now we do have the nuance of the chin. There's a dip here, and then it's beveled out. So let's try and get that. So we're gonna have this line going here, and another line going there. Yeah, and that's gonna be the dip inward, like so, in. And then we're gonna have the dip outside, back to the chin. And the chin is going to be kind of flat rounded. And we got that shape in eventually. Let's get the ear in here, and we've pretty much done everything we can to get this to be very accurate. And the advantage with these kinds of models is that it really shows you the light and shadow too in a much better way. So let me try and fix the front of the nose a bit. What you'll notice is there's this middle plane here that goes down like that better indicates the shape of the nose, right? And I actually think this is close to it, right? You could go ahead and get each and every curve of the polygons, but you don't have to actually. Now, if we want to shade this, we can do that. We can just go for it. So the light comes from the left, and we know that there's a plane change here. So we can do something called shadow mapping, which I'm not a master of in any shape or form, but basically showing where the shadow is. So this is a smooth transition, and then there's going to be a hard transition, and another hard transition. Bottom of the nose is going to be in the shadow, so that's going to be like this. Sharp. This is a bit, no, this is sharp too, actually. And then we can decide to include this or not. We don't have to, but I think let's include this because this is going to be an interesting shape. And then skip this. And this here is sharp, shadow. This is also in the shadow. This is going to be in the shadow. This is going to be in the shadow. All the way here and here. Let's start shading and see what happens, okay? So I'm going to follow the lines I put here and be a little careful. This is all shadow. And after this, we'll do a side view. Side views are hard too, you'll see. It's an interesting extreme case, you'll see. And then this lip, remember, it's facing down, so we're gonna place some shadows there. My shading skills aren't as good, so you'll forgive me. But I'm gonna do my best. And this, let's say, also. It doesn't have to be shaded, but it kind of faces forward, so why not? This is all shadow. Now again, we can smoothen it out. Let's smoothen it, just for fun. A good idea is that you draw a face with the mouth open. Yeah, that's tough. I'm gonna have to find a reference for that. I think for this one, we'll stick to just the model. But one thing to take away from this is, look at how important it is to just be careful and not assume you know what something looks like. If you take your time and you really think and analyze the shapes and study the method, that accounts for a lot of your success. It's not just skill, it's not just experience, right? It's a lot more than that. And let's shade this too, because it faces down. So, like that. It's funny to see how much I developed my ability to shade off the cuff with watercolor, but with pencil I'm still a little timid. It's really interesting. I have a lot to learn from my watercolors, right? And that gives us a basic thing. Now we went quite dark, but that's fine. There is a mid value to be had here. So if you look at, for example, the front of the face, that's going to be a mid value, unlike this. This faces the light, because the light comes from here. So this is going to be very light, whereas, and we can start playing around with it. So let's say this is a little dark, this is a little dark, this is a little darker, right? I'm using my blender just because I have a bit of paint on it. This is going to be just a little dark. This is going to be a little darker. You see, you can start mapping out some of the shadows here. Like that. This is the side of the face, so it's catching less of the light too, actually. So, a little dark. And you see, you start giving it some structure, right? And then, if you want to bring out a bit more, we can decide, let's say, to darken the right side of the nose. Just give it a bit more of another dimension. And near the center here, do the same thing. So kind of darken it here. Let's not do a cast shadow. I don't care about that as much. But let's darken this lip. Well, the upper lip faces down, and this side of it is facing away from the light. And let's darken that side plane here. See? It goes under this. It's quite a bit stronger. Let's get this nice line there. We can also get this nice distinction from the eye socket. And look at how nice this looks. This faces the bottom. I'm going to darken that too. And from here, it's just a matter of patience and taking your time. But I quite like the way it turned out. It's quite accurate, I think. Right? I do have some inaccuracies. It's very hard to do this 100%. It's very hard just to draw a box 100% accurate. So imagine all of these planes of the face. But this is the kind of thing, I have dozens of these here. In this sketchbook alone, other sketchbooks, do this 50 times, you'll get it. Let's look at some questions. Gabrielle says, I need to go to work. It's being recorded. Yes, it is. Thanks, and keep doing this thing. Yeah, definitely. Frey for all says, Liron, thanks, Liron, and we appreciate the detail. Thank you. The mouth is more weird to draw than the eyes, indeed. We discussed that. Let me know if you have any questions. Now is a good time. Mamta, how to measure and determine the size? Yeah, so you'll notice that after you learn some basic skills, it gets a little easier. What do I mean by that? If you know how to draw an accurate sphere and how to cut out the side of the sphere, which doesn't take too much measuring. All you need to do is learn that if this is where the eyes are, it's this line, right? Tilts, moves, etc. Then you have to work with the perpendicular line to draw an oval here. So what you end up doing is just you have a circle and you just draw an oval, but on the left side of the circle. One thing to pay attention to is this point right here. It's here in this example. You see, it's this point. So you have to figure out how turned the head is. In this example, it's turned a little, so it's going to be to the left. Again, if I turn the head a little bit, it's going to be more to the left. And then all you have to do is do this here with this on the side. So I don't even measure here necessarily. And I cut out this side. And then I'm going to cut out the other side. See? And that line just goes like this. Because we see the angle. I don't measure, I look at the angle. And I see the angle between the eyebrow and the ear. It's this angle. Okay? It's this angle right here. You'll see it moving with my head. When I look straight at you, it's a straight line, a horizontal. But if I look up, see what happens? It goes like this. If I look down, it goes like this. See, that's the most important line to determine the change of the angle of the face, the side and the front. Okay? It's this line here, right? These are the only real measurements. Other than that, so let's say you want to know where the chin is, right? And I showed you double this distance, right? But here you don't know exactly where it is. So because we're looking up, you'll draw another oval like this, and that's going to be your distance. And then you just double that, and you get to the chin. So it's not necessarily measuring with the pencil, though you could do that, and many would recommend you learn to do that, to measure and check if this aligns with this, right? If it's like that, or let's say the ear, where does the ear meet the eyes? You know, it's called plumb lines, right? Like this, vertical and horizontal. But mostly what you'll learn is how to draw boxes and ovals. That's what's going to give you the measurements, funny enough. It's not really about necessarily distances. You see? When I measure this distance, I really try and look at the reference and figure out, okay, if this is my center, which I imagine on the model right here, I imagine it on the model, how much to the left will I go, right? And you will get better at visualizing these things. You will get better at visualizing distances on three-dimensional planes. So for example, let's say you have this weird tuna can, right? Or maybe not, let's not do it as complex. Let's say, let me take another color. Let's say you have this tuna can. Focus on the red here. Right, you have this thing here. And you have this distance. how do you measure this distance again here or here? It's hard because it goes around. So what happens is we need to measure this slice almost, right? This slice of the pie or tuna can. So from observation, this is facing towards us and this is also facing towards us. It's going to be in a similar distance. But what happens as it rotates away from us? That's where it goes, it's squeezed because it's moving away. So this is the same size as this, but it looks a different size, right? That's how you learn to measure, quote unquote, by observing. See how it gets closer and closer the more it goes around, okay? There are ways of measuring these things, flat measuring them. I actually forgot them, but I will review my perspective knowledge and I'll get back to you on that if you want to know. One of the ways to measure how doors will open, for example, let's say you have a door, three-dimensional door in space, and you want to know how it's going to open, is to draw an oval here. And you see that gives you its circular motion. So if it's going to be this way, it's going to look like this. And if it's going to be that way towards us, it's going to be like that. And here. And there. It looks longer here, right? But it's not longer. It's just that the way we look at this. See? So there are tricks to doing that. But the first thing you have to do is boxes. Boxes, boxes, boxes. All day long boxes. That's going to be the main thing. If you draw enough boxes, you'll start getting it, and then you'll start working with curved objects. Sally, do you teach manga drawing? No, but I am working on my own manga. Hopefully it will happen sometime. It just takes so long. Mamta Sir, we need a recorded video of Loomis method for practice. Yeah, there's actually quite a bit of it. Stan Proco has much better videos than me on that. Sovereign Brehan, hello artists, my first time in this channel's live chat. Awesome, welcome. I find widely smiling faces the most difficult to draw. Yeah, again, once you get the anatomy of the mouth when it smiles, it goes like this, right? So you get the cheeks pulling in on the mouth, I believe, and then it widens. So right now it aligns maybe with the side of the eye, but when it widens, it goes to the sides. Yeah, you just have to first practice this. You'll get to smiling faces. Open mouth is really hard, like this, because it brings the jaw down. So the measurement is the Loomis method. This is why I said you can't just do Loomis. You have to at some point break free from that. Almost like once you paint just from painting tutorials and other people's photos, you will get to a point where you won't progress. You need to make it your own. So at some point you need to break free from the method because it doesn't represent everything. And some people's faces are very different. My eyes are relatively close to one another, more than the Loomis method average. My eyes are closer than the normal person. That's just how it is. When I use the Oculus or other things, I need to bring everything way too close. It's very hard. Forms are soft planes. I'm not sure what do you mean by that, dazzling action. So forms are soft planes. Forms are planes. You can make everything out of planes, right? I don't know what soft is a rounded transition you mean? Let me know. Cora Fear, hello, first time artist here. I really like your perspective on things. It resonates with me and gives me something new to consider when drawing. Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you. So this is your first live stream by me? Thank you so much. And hey, by the way, YouTube to Matthias, thank you for being here. Monica NJ, hey, I'm here, welcome aboard. Let us continue with another one, right? Let's do another one. We said side view. So let me bring in a side view angle. Let me find it. I believe it's, let's see. Oh, I have some tough angles here. I actually feel more comfortable with upper angles than lower angles, by the way. There we go, we have a side view. A nightmarish side view. Number 9. If I had a producer, I'll go, put number 9. Now let's see here. Okie doke. So this is our side view. Not an easy feat. Hey Dwayne, how are you? Thank you for being here. I'm so behind on emails, I just remembered. So sorry about that. Dwayne, sorry about that. It's just the moves and work. I barely have time to work. Let's see here. Get rid of this. There we go. So are you ready for another one? Let's do this side view. I love portraits, but how do you get the personality, not the portrait? Yeah, no, I get it. First you learn this. Then you're able to recognize this when you draw a person from observation. So you start understanding why the nose is like that, what's the front plane, side planes, bottom plane. This knowledge will incorporate into drawing actual people. It's so misleading because you look at this and you ask yourself, this looks like, you know, a mannequin. Highly unnatural, but the way it works is actually funny. If you practice this for a while, you will start seeing these patterns in a person, and you will translate it to drawing a person. And you'll practice drawing a real person based on this method, just for finding different elements of the face, but you'll still get it accurately. You'll get the personality in. It's a part of the process. So, side view. Side view is a little tricky, actually. Let me get this circle as accurately as I can. Now, some people draw the circle differently for side view. They say it's more squeezed. I'm going to keep it like that because I'm actually not sure. Okay? Now, do you see where the side plane here, like that, is somewhere around here? I actually see it. So we have to put an oval somewhere around here. So let me draw it very carefully. And that's going to define our side plane. Okay? By the way, the first thing I should have done is do this to show that the face is looking straight to the side. It's not up, not down, straight to the side, flat horizontal line. Okay? That's the angle between the, again, eyebrow and the ear. So essentially what we did earlier, it's like in the worst spot to show you the two simultaneously. This goes up, right? So now it's going to be flat, a flat line indicating the side of the face. Okay. Again, for all of these things, you can imagine a different view. You can even draw a different view to help you out. So let's do that. I'm going to do these simultaneously. So we have an oval here, and let's say this person is looking more towards us. So it's going to be something like this. So what you have here is this line, right? This is this. I hope that helps, seeing it in a different view simultaneously. This we cannot even see. So now, one thing that really defines, by the way, to answer your question, Monica, one thing that really defines people's faces is that curvature of the side of the face. So what ends up happening is this really affects like how curved it is, and where this ends really affects what a person looks like. Some people, their chin is farther out, so you'll have a curvature like this. Some of it is like that. It really changes based on every person. So what you'll have for some people, like this example, it's pretty straightforward. If we drop a straight line, the chin is tucked a little closer, so it's going to be like this, right? But some people have it like that. Some people have it even more inwards. So that's one way of getting the actual accurate features of a person, by that curvature of the face. The Loomis method says do a straight line, right? But you can play around with it based on the person you're drawing, and that's the real deal. Freaking morons, hey Liron, it's been a really long time. Hope you're well. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. How's everything going? Hopefully everything is good. Now, this, remember, I showed you that this line and this line is what we use to measure where the chin is going to be, right? So we have those lines here. It's the top of that oval. Top of that oval. That's why the Loomis method works really neatly, because it has a lot of clear, relatively clear measurements. And by the way, do you want to know what this line represents? It's a hairline. This is where the hair is beginning, right? The hair could drop down lower, but it begins there. So that's actually the hairline. I didn't mention it earlier. Hair, that's going to be around where the nose is. I did a really bad line here. Let's do it again. Right? And this is the measurement we're going to duplicate. And this is actually one of the easier things to do in side view because it's just flat measurement. It's not going towards us, away from us, flat measurement. Skyle, how do you do the thirds of the face in profile? Yeah, let me show you again. This is actually much easier in profile, I think, if I recall, because I kind of skipped that part. So you have the face, right? That's going to be the center. You can drop another line like this and find a third, and find a third. Same way you did so far. Now all you have to do is find the temple. So in this example, you see the temple is, let me try and show you. It's right where my finger is behind the photo, right? So you see it's around, it's this side, right? You find that, so it's somewhere around here. All you have to do now is constrain an oval within these 3 measurements. That's one way of measuring it. See? And you've got the same thing, exact same thing. Okay? Now, it gets trickier if the head is tilted up and down, right? So if you have, let's say, I love how for every sketch there's 5 more complementary sketches. So let's say you're looking down. So now, this line is no longer a horizontal line, but rather curved down, right? Now it gets trickier. So let's place this here, and let's think about it. So I'm like this, and then I'm looking down. What's gonna happen? This point is gonna move, instead of here, it's gonna move a little lower. And this point is gonna move a little lower. And this is gonna be here, and you end up with this kind of a thing. See? Where the front of the face is this, the side of the face is this. And it's not an easy thing to do, and then it goes behind, completely behind. It's not an easy thing to do, which is why I always say, learn to do these things by understanding the concepts of how to cut off a side from an oval. You have an oval, how do you cut off a section exactly how you want to cut it off? Exactly in the way you want to cut it, right? For example, this is going to be the perpendicular line to that section, right? That's the one thing you really want to practice. This is why I also practice drawing a lot of these ovals and figuring out like the long axis of a cylinder. All of these things are very important for these kinds of complex subjects. What we're doing here incorporates a lot of knowledge from different types of similar objects, right? That's how you do it here, but what would have been better is for you to develop the ability to eyeball where that side section and thirds are going to be. Okay, that's what you want to kind of learn to measure by intuition. And that's why you have to start with perspective, boxes, and so on. The boring stuff. That's actually very fascinating once you do it for a while. Very fascinating. Nikki, just gone 2 a.m. here, so we'll catch the rest on the replay. Thank you so much for sticking so long. Thank you so much. Glad I got to catch some of your live. I can see how this will be so helpful. Yep, happy to hear. Manisha, how to find the difference between the 2 eyes? Difference, you mean the gap between them, where to place them? So actually the classic measurement is an eye. So you have another eye in the middle. I can show you a bit of that later on. So front of the face, but we don't even need that yet. Let's place in that side area. Now where the ear falls is here. Right around this area. Goes here, and it goes down close to this line. Okay, that's where the ear is at. And something interesting happens to the skull here. It actually doesn't perfectly continue down, right? It ends around here, and then we have the neck. But that's for a few more moments. Let's connect the jaw. So we measured this distance, right? And then we go down here, like that. We connected the jaw to the oval. We're essentially, again, connecting an oval to a jaw. That's what we're doing here. From a different view, we're connecting an oval to, and I'm going to be really bad at it because it's really hard, but to a jaw, you see? So we're going through all of these measurements to get it as accurately as we can. Nikki, oh, sorry, we read that. Skylar, did I miss a message? I saw one. Oh, friggin' morons. I'm doing well, thank you. What streaming software setup are you using? I'm using OBS, and I have plans. I'm going to improve it greatly after the move. I have a lot of things. I'll probably buy a new webcam. This is decent, but not good enough. I'll probably use it for my face and use a new one. I'll do some more. I started playing around with like here and fun and adding different elements. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff. But OBS. I'm using OBS and YouTube. I'm streaming to YouTube directly. Skylark says, I've been practicing manipulating simple forms in perspective. It really helps. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, for example, if you start with, let's say, a box in perspective, and then you learn, that's a really next level. I'm not good at that. What would happen if you make this side puffier, like beveled outside, right? All these weird things that you can learn to do to play around with the shape and really skew it, or cut off a corner. Like, how do you cut off this corner? If you were to slice it right through here, what would it look like? Or right through here, for example, right? You get rid of this corner and you'll get this thing, right? All of these things are very hard to do but are worth learning how to do. So you'll get this essentially, right? Something like that. Yeah, that's a great way of practicing Skylex, and it just takes time. Just takes time and practice. Cora, question: do you use a raised surface when drawing traditionally so you're not hunched? I should improve this setup. Sometimes I'll have it at an angle closer to my face and I can do it properly. I'm trying not to be hunched over too much, and even if I am, I'm trying to bring that from the waist and not from the back, right? So I'm trying to, instead of going like this, I'm trying to go like that with the entire back, but I definitely can improve my posture. I'm actually doing some exercises to improve my posture. Have been doing them for a while now. Okay, let's continue with this one, see where it gets us. So, this is actually, it's not a perfect side view. We get to see just a bit of the front, but we can kind of flatten it out. It's not as important. Next step, where should we go from here? Let's just better indicate the shape of the face. So this goes like this, right? And this is the side and temple. And then we get that rhythm line that goes into the ear or into this region, and you can see and assess where it falls into. Then we have this diagonal line connects. This is our eye socket, and the keystone that we saw earlier, remember that thing that connects to the nose? We see a bit of it here actually. So it goes inwards, right? And now the nose ends up a little higher than the ear actually. So the base of the nose is going to be somewhere around here. We'll get that in just one moment. Probably a little lower actually, something like this. And then the mouth is going to be somewhere around here. We'll get that soon too. But you see how it starts to look like something, right? And sorry about the light coming from the outside. I'll do it like this. And that it goes in and connects to the nose. The tip of the nose is somewhere around here, right? Something like this. And that eye socket goes in and it goes up along this plane that is the side of the nose. See that? Side of the nose. Side of the nose. I don't know if you can see it in this angle. Yeah, you can see it. Side of the nose, right? The nose goes like this. This is the side of the nose. And of course, I'm not as accurate here. It's a mess. But the bottom of the nose is important, and it's on the face. It's this, what we just did earlier, right? The bottom. And it connects. Now let's clean up a bit. This angle really changes, right? The Loomis method may have an angle, but the angle changes based on every person, very individual. A bit of the keystone that we can see here. And then look at what happens here. This kind of connects to this rhythm line, goes all the way to the mouth, and rotates around. Maybe we see a bit of the front of the chin, maybe we don't. Now this is very tricky. This is the bottom of the neck. It's a part, the bottom of the jaw. It's a part where you don't see on me because I have a beard, but it's flat and it's pretty much horizontal. It's a very confusing area for artists. Takes some time to master. I've not mastered it yet, but it's just a horizontal line. and then the neck. So this is the bottom plane of the face. It's in the shadow, just to demonstrate, it's the bottom. It's facing the bottom. It's rounded, right? You can see it in the reference photo, but it's facing the bottom. This is facing the bottom too. Okay, let's get rid of this. And notice how the face has this curvature, right? This goes forward, the cheek goes forward, and you can see that in the three-dimensional model. That's very important. Okay. Now, to the ear, that's okay. Sometimes I'm unsure how to continue. I'll just take a break, look at things, assess, right? So from the nose, we have this shape of the lips. Now remember what I told you earlier, like a tuna can, it's beveled out. And that's what we see here. It's the outer side of that tuna can that I just showed you earlier, right? And if you tilt it a bit, it's gonna look like this. And if you look at it from below, it's gonna look like this, right? And if you tilt it even more, it's gonna look like this. Does this make sense? It's actually beveled outside. That's the tuna can. And then it goes back to the chin, kind of like that. Okay, we'll get those planes in. So first out and connecting to the side here. And the lip, let me clean this area up. And by the way, sometimes this is a sharp turn, sometimes it's round, depends on the person. Again, that's how you add personality to it. But this lip faces down, whereas the lower lip faces up. And usually the lower lip is more inner. So between the outer lip and the lower lip, you'll have a diagonal, not a straight line usually. So you won't have upper, lower. You'll have this go more inward. See? Same here. It's very subtle, but it happens. And this is the top plane of that lip. And then we get to the chin. And I'm just going to wing this part. Barely noticeable. Actually, no. We did it side view, so we'll do it proper side view. Just side view. Okay? And that's pretty much how you get the face. Let me move this completely down so we have a bit more. See? That's how you do it. Now, if you change the curvature, it's going to dramatically change the face. The nose here is too long. See? Can you recognize how my nose is longer than the model's? All of these small things influence the look. Right? So if the nose is going to be instead here, it's going to be here maybe. Making it a little smaller. And then we can start if we want to shape. Now again, one thing that's good about these polygon simplified models is the ability to see the light and shadow very easily. So we can decide, for example, that the light comes from the top, so that actually everything that faces away from the light, top and from front of us. So imagine an arrow going towards us, like that. That's where the light comes from. So then all of this plane is going to be in the shadow. Just for fun, let's shade this a bit. Let's imagine the light is almost from behind the person. So that's going to be in the shadow. Almost behind and above. This will start maybe more shadowy. Right, I'm kind of winging it, of course, it's not going to be accurate, but it's a fun exercise to practice. And it's a little easier when you have these simplified three-dimensional shapes. Maybe the nose casts a shadow, right? So maybe something like this on the face. Let's smoothen this. I'm just enjoying smoothening things out. But you see, if you start with a solid three-dimensional structure, it's much easier doing this afterwards, shading and really figuring out the angles. So yeah, we're good. I think we'll do one more and that's kind of enough for today. This is a smooth transition. And you can then bring back some of the maybe details that were lost. So for example, you can make the eye socket a little stronger like this, right? You can do a lot of things here actually. Bring back the ear that we lost. bring maybe a stronger shadow under the chin. You can do a bunch of stuff. So let's see if you have any questions. Let me know. Now is a good place to do that. Do faces have gesture? Great question. Yes, everything has gesture. Let me show you an example. Now, you can decide if you want to think about it in terms of gesture, but it will have gesture. You can decide if you want to go with it. So, for example, this kind of a face, for a gesture, right, we'll have this curve, and then it's going to go round, see? And instead of drawing the contours, I can decide to focus on the movement and make it look much more 3D. That's actually a great question. See how, not 3D, but rather movement. Because if I were to draw this based on the contours, that's the gesture is exactly what I'm gonna lose. See, now I can base off everything off of these lines and these movements, right? So maybe we'll get the eye socket in here, right? Using a gesture too, why not? And then maybe we'll get the nose in with a gesture, see? Gestures are a great exercise for practicing drawing more effectively and drawing with a better, again, feeling of motion. So do both. Do gesture, whether it's people, whether it's faces, portraits, animals, whatever, and then practice structure too. It's often, heads are often done with the Loomis method with a three-dimensional structure, whereas bodies, full bodies go with gesture, right? But what we do when we capture the curvature of the face, that's a gesture. That's a gesture that encapsulates the whole story, see? And then you can kind of build upon that, right? You can add more details using gesture. Gesture is basically simplifying, right? You simplify the movement and the shape, so just one curve, one simple curve, right? That's actually a great exercise, incorporating gestures in that. Let me know if that makes sense, Skiles, because this is a really, or is it Skal? I don't know how to pronounce your username. Sorry if I botch it. But yeah, that's exactly how that works. Cora Fear, sometimes you can line up the tip of the nose with the bottom of the chin. Yep. It will depend on the curvature of the person. So sometimes the chin will be more inside than the tip of the nose, right? And sometimes it will be like, it really varies based on the person. Really varies. Marjorie, good morning. Here in upstate New York. So tired to stay with you this morning. Try to stay with you this morning. This is a great exercise, learning subject. Have fun all. Hopefully next week will be better for me. Yeah, definitely. Feel better. Hopefully you'll have more energy. Sam, if I want to draw a body, what can pencils maximum do? Just drawing lines and a little bit of gesture. You can actually get a lot with pencil. You can do the shading. You can do a bunch of stuff. But again, find the thing that you love. Maybe you enjoy, maybe try incorporating charcoal, which is easier to do big areas of darks and lights. There's a lot of things you can do to make pencil more effective or work better for your method, or just draw pencil, use other tools, use markers. Zaitun, I was waiting for this since morning. Now it's evening. Thank you. Like you were waiting, actually waiting, and the live stream open. Let me know. Skal, yes, that makes sense. It makes sense. Happy it does. Freaking morons. The flat of the jaw is especially confusing when you're doing some head looking up. Yep, exactly. Head looking up or just lower angle. It's very hard to visualize. Which is why it's best if you learn to draw a box from below, because that will help you. So let me show you how. If you have this box and you're looking at it from below, right? The box goes something like this. You could actually turn this box into a jaw by making this area, let's find the middle here. So that's going to be approximately the middle. So let's say that this is your chin, right? And then you use this chin to visualize where the ear is gonna be, right? And bear with me, I know it's strange. But this could be your chin. Then the face goes up like this maybe. And this could definitely be a face in bottom view. I'm just trying to figure out how I'll connect it to the neck. It's so tough. But this could be the bottom chin, right? The bottom of the chin, maybe even more. You know what? Maybe like this, even more of a wider angle. And then let me think. So this goes in and then down into the neck. So this is the neck moving towards us. Yeah, okay, got it. Now I remember. And this is the bottom of the chin. And we use it to probably be a little longer, but we essentially used our knowledge of boxes to draw a face in a very awkward angle. Can you tell that this is a face? This is a ear right here. The eyes are somewhere around here. Let's try and put a hint for the eye sockets. The chin. The nose is going to be very strange. It's going to go out like this, and it's going to also have a strong bottom plane. See? Do you see how does that make sense? Right? Just extreme angle. But the basis is knowing how the plane works from below using, so for example, this is a parallel to the box, and then you make it wider for a chin, right? And that's how you visualize this, because it's wider. It's not just a line, it's wide, triangular. That's how you use basic three-dimensional knowledge to get complex objects shapes accurately. So this is working on structure, and this is working on gesture and movement. And both of these are very helpful and very useful. I think most people stop here and they don't learn enough of the three-dimensional structure. That can really hurt your results. You show how to use charcoals? No, I don't know nothing about charcoal or all of that at all. Never used it. Yuvraj, hello brother, make your sketch. My own? You want me to sketch myself? Oh man, that's for another time. Cora Fear, how do you put in the eyeballs in the side profile? Okay, interesting. So we can even show it here, but I'll show it on the previous one too. The actual eyes and the eyeballs. So you have to learn the anatomy of the eyes. I'm actually not perfect in this at all, but let's go back to the structure for a second and try it out. So something like this, right? One thing that's very misleading is side view. The eyes are inside. The eyes don't sit here. They're more inside. So they'll fall. Let me look at myself. So they'll fall somewhere around here. That's going to be their corner, okay? And then they'll have a shape that looks something like this. See? Does that make sense? So the eyelashes are going to be here. And then imagine there's a sphere here. Like so, inside. Actually, I have seen how to do this. I'll show you. So it's almost like the eye sockets. It goes like this, right? So you have the forehead, then it goes inside for the eye sockets, right? Something like this, and then it goes outside. This is a bit extreme. I went for a strong angle. Something like this, like that. The eyes actually rest here on the inside, and you just see what's around them, and that's where the eye is. That's a whole nother story. We can do that another time. We can do anatomy of the eyes. But this is basically the placement of the eye itself. This is confusing because it looks like the iris. It's not. This is basically where you place the eyes. Maybe, let's see, the person's looking to the front. And you'll also have the, what do you call these? Oh, I forgot how you call these. The thing above the eye. What do you call that? I forgot. Let me check. I can't believe I forgot. I know how to say it in Hebrew. Af in English. Can't believe I forgot. Eyelid, is it? Yeah, eyelid. I'm so stupid sometimes. The eyelids, yeah. So you'll have the eyelid above and below too, right? It's that kind of a shape. Hope that makes sense. Let's see, what did I miss? Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Okay, Dr. T, this has been such a good practice. I'm going to need to spend some more time on the second one because I missed something there, but it's a process, right? Yeah, definitely. Alessandro, hi Liron. It's incredible how very little lines or shapes of a face can change everything, and this is frustrating to me sometimes. Yeah, tell me about it. When I draw my manga characters, if I just draw the mouth a little too low, I can actually show you. If I draw it a little too low, changes the whole appearance. So this is my main character that hopefully I'm gonna make something out of in the future. And I actually took a lot of measurements to make sure everything works. Now look at what happens, say if the nose is a little lower. Looks very strange, right? This is like the perfect, this is exactly what I want him to look like, right? But if I were to draw the mouth a little lower, it looks like a horse, like this, right? Every small change, like here, the nose is too low, right? So all I could do is just do tons of these and hope for the best. Finding it in profile wasn't easy as well, because in profile view, maybe the nose should be higher to look better. It's so strange how that works, right? Look at this. I actually have tons of notes here. I don't think I ever showed it on YouTube. Maybe I have. I need a wider gap. This is good, but the eyes were too close, like me, like myself. This should be a wider gap. Look at this eye. It's way too outside. Put it in. This chin is too big, so it makes him look older because the gap between the chin and the mouth is too big, so it looks like a bombastic chin. This should probably be a little more rounded actually at this angle. Now I have some more experience and I can fix this really easily. You know, eyes should be a little farther apart. I can tell immediately. This ear is way too big. Like now I can recognize a lot of my mistakes. The nose here is awkward too. But yeah, every small thing, tell me about it. You know, I've been really struggling to get my characters to look good. My own characters, so hard to do, you know. But yeah, I think we can start moving towards wrapping it up. I can do maybe one more, maybe a few faster ones, ones that don't require all of the features, but maybe the basic structure of the head, and we can focus on the three-dimensional aspect of it. It looks like Aaron. Yeah, not at all actually, but you'll see. I have other pictures of him. He doesn't look much like Aaron actually. He does look like Takamichi from Tokyo Revengers, which is highly annoying because I didn't even know the manga. I drew him and all the comments are like, Takamichi? Is it Takamichi? Man. Yeah, thank you so much everyone for telling me it's the eyelid and I'm dumb. Hey Jackie, thank you for being here. Hey Chris. Yep, lid secrets, the design, eyelid, thank you. How are you doing, by the way? Yeah. Monica, they all look good. Yeah, you notice the subtleties when you draw it so much. Cora, also, how do you draw eyebrows inside profile? Yeah, eyebrows tend to be the bane of my existence. This is actually quite simple. So let me show you. The eyebrows, how they fall is, if this is where it changes from front, right, front to side, the eyebrows are above the eye, the eye socket, so not down here, not here, here above. And you know there are two parts to the eyebrow, right? There's this part and then this part. This part is actually on the side. And that's what makes it a little harder. So essentially, the eyebrow is gonna be placed like that. Okay? Or maybe it's too strong of an angle, but that's how it works. And probably it will end here, probably a little closer. And then the eye, there's a line connecting them like this. And the eye itself is going to be somewhere around here. Okay, let me show you in the previous one where the heck it is. Here as well. Okay, I can show you here. I'll show you in another one. It's going to fall on top of the eye socket and slightly on the side plane, which that's what makes it look a little different too. Same here on the other side, above the eye socket, right? Into the side, something like that. Sometimes it'll go a little into the eye sockets too. So yeah, and let me show you the previous one, same thing. Usually if you have the eye, you can do this outside and find it too. It'll be somewhere around here. Make sense? That's where you place it. Now, if it's an angry eyebrow, right, this part isn't as affected, but it's this part that changes, see? Something like that. I hope that makes sense. I'm not a master of the actual features and details of the face. I have a lot more to learn in that regard, but the basic structure I feel pretty solid with. Sam, what is called the chin calculation size shape to understand this more and get knowledge about it? I would just go through the Loomis method. It's just if you search how to draw the chin, you'll get all sorts of simplified versions. You just want the method itself. So I would focus on the Loomis method at different angles. So you'll get these awkward above, below. I think that's the best way to find it. You could also search for jaw, how to attach the jaw, but then you may find medical stuff, I don't know, but how to attach the jaw to the face, something like that. Try to draw my relative face, but I couldn't, plus they don't like themselves. Yeah, that's always going to be a complaint when you draw someone. They'll be like, oh, it doesn't look like me, or I don't like it. Raul, you are really a great teacher. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Thank you so much. Sovereign Brehon, how about from under? Like I'm really short and I see people from that angle. Yeah, so we did one actually from a lower angle. Not as low, to be honest. Like this is from a lower angle, but not from under. We can try. I'll show you. Let's do a few quick ones. Takamichi, yeah, you were right. He looks like... Takamichi is the bane of my existence. Thanks so much. This is really helpful. Happy I could help. Thank you, Jackie. Last time you showed us some Attack on Titan characters, was impressed by Annie Leonhardt because she has a particular nose. Yeah, Annie's nose is tough. Alessandro, I have a question. So if hypothetically I'd start a reaction channel where I react to Attack on Titan, aka watch it with you, and kind of do it, not live, pre-recorded, would you watch that? Because I'm considering doing something similar, like a different channel completely. Let me know. Jackie, they won't complain if you make them look better. Yeah, but then they'll say, oh, it looks nothing like me. Like with the head thrown back. Let's try it out. I have a few extreme examples maybe we can use. Probably not what you're imagining. Let me see what like the worst angle I got here. Maybe I'll have to do a new one because I didn't get this extreme. I have extreme upper angles. Yeah, let's get the model and I'll take a screenshot now. I'll try and do it. So I'm gonna go to my bookmarks into manga, important reference, simple Asaro head. Let's try it out. Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you, Sovereign. Let's find that strange angle for you. Maybe I can find another 3D model of a person looking that way. Oh, I can show you how it works not on a polygon model, on an actual face. Maybe we can do that. Let's see here. Okay, so I'll grab a screenshot of this, and then let's see if we can find a person, because I don't want to use like a Google image thing looking up. Let's see if I can find a 3D model. So I don't see a person looking up. I see a Ron Perlman face. That's interesting. Let's go to Pixabay. Let me try and find this reference for you, actually. Let's make it more interesting. Let's do like an actual person. Person looking up. Let's see what we can do. Okay. Not too many good references, but I'll find. There's one here. There's one there. I actually think this will be good enough. We'll do these. I won't go too much into the features because it's super hard. But yeah. Let's remove the person and just do looking up. Sovereign, the shading is so tricky. Shaded areas become lighter but are still not naturally brighter, if that makes sense. Yeah, that actually makes sense. This isn't extreme. Okay, yeah, I think I found a good one. So, let me save this one, download. It will take me just 1 second, so forgive me for the slight delay. save this to the desktop actually. Let's keep it simple. I'm gonna keep the windows open so I can later give you the links if you'd want them. Jay, how can you tell the right amount of space between the eyes and the side of the face? So again, for the eyes, it's one eye. That's the traditional measurement. And the side of, between the eyes and the side of the face. I'm not sure what you mean. The actual eye, the eye sits on the corner, so that may answer that question. But generally speaking, it's gonna be one eye apart from one another, and gonna align with the corners of the mouth. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh no, PP, I'm gonna keep doing this channel, of course. I'm not gonna stop. I'm just gonna add something new. Don't worry. Will you recommend to draw life model without anatomy knowledge beforehand? Yeah, I think it's better than nothing, Jackie. I think it's definitely better than nothing. The best case is to know a bit and then do it, but most people actually do it without any anatomical knowledge, so don't feel too bad about it. Alessandro, it could be interesting in AOT reaction. By the way, I finished to watch the last season, part 1, can't find part 2 and 3. You need to watch part 2. Wow, man, the Loomis method is great to see and practice. I've given you a sub and like. Oh, thank you so much. You're new here. Welcome aboard. Maybe you got a new follower. Thank you. Much appreciated. Keep watching. If you like the other stuff, then yes, stick around. Because I do a lot of watercolor, which is very different from this. Here's my portrait drawing. Yeah, portraits are going to be hard from life. Thank you. Yeah, you got it. Okay, let's continue. Let's do this. So I'm going to just cut the pictures a little bit. They're a little too big. So one is going to be side view and another is going to be front. And it is a tough angle. So bear with me. We'll try and make the best of it. Very tough angle. We have a dude and a dudette. Now let's see here. Okay, starting with the first one. Let's do the front one first, because the front one it tells this story a little differently. Let's see. Desktop. Allow. What just happened? Something happened to the camera, or am I imagining? You know what, let's actually do the side view first, because it's gonna make a little more sense to you, and then we'll do the front. Okay, here we go. Side view, right? Looking really up. So this is a bit challenging. So we'll start the exact same way with oval. Move this a bit. Like this, right? Now, the angle for the front of the face is going to be way different. I'm looking for that line. Again, eyebrow to ear. So the eyebrow into ear is going to be about this angle. You have to estimate it here because we don't see it actually. But from the angle, it looks like something like this, right? Eyebrow to ear, middle of the head, and now I'm able to imagine these things, but it's going to be hard at first. But this is the corner here, okay? And then we can measure the thirds if we want to, and get the side plane of the face, cutting that circle, essentially. We cut it. That's the front, right? Now, from where the ear is, which is somewhere around here. Again, we're estimating. A lot of it we don't see because of her hair. We're going to move down, and let's measure this distance, right? And double it like we've done so far. So this is our chin. From the chin, we're going to go around here and connect, right? And the curvature of the face not that important, but like this. Okay. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. There's this angle, and this actually should be, if we want to be actually anatomically accurate, this tends to go a little this way rather than that way. And it's gonna show us the bottom plane of the chin because it's rounded, okay? And this is where it gets a little tricky, right? Because some people will do this or do that. Look at the neck. Because she's looking up, the neck stays in that weird elongated shape. See? It's not like a person from below where maybe the neck is like this moving towards us. She is looking up. There's a difference between looking at someone from below and someone looking up. We're going to see this in the next example. It's going to be even more extreme. And what happens here is the neck compresses. See this? So she's probably going to have a few wrinkles here on the neck, but here it stretches. And it connects to the rib cage area, something like this. And this is where the shoulder blades are going to go, and then you can add a bunch of stuff there if you know the anatomy. But that stretching is really important. In fact, I would emphasize it here with a gesture going this way. Even though it's not as anatomically accurate, so I'll probably tame that a bit and go with that. Still. Something like this. And then the bottom plane of the face, right, it's somewhere around here. So that's the bottom. But this has to compress to account for the stretching here. So it's like the neck, this is how it is when it's straight, but then if you look up, you have to compress some part. So this part stretches, and this part compresses, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's do another quick one, the other person. Skylex, I heard 5 eyes length in total across the front of it. Yeah, so here's the thing. My problem is I'll never remember all of these measurements. I'd much rather keep it simple. But if it helps you, use it. Whatever gets you to remember and have it click. With experience and time, you won't need it as much. You'll just be able to do it. But yeah, at first you can rely on some of these measurements. So front view. This is tough, okay? Because a few things happen in front view. So we're going to start with that same oval representing the skull. Now, I actually want to show you where that falls because it's interesting. Let me actually show you something, okay? I'm going to bring that previous reference photo too because it's actually important. Let's keep it here. There we go. I want to show you something interesting. So if I were to actually place the skull here, one of them is much more straightforward. Now, how do I draw on this thing? Yeah, there we go. Sorry I'm doing this off camera, but it will make sense in a second. So, it's too big, 1 second. Good. And then I'm going to do my best to draw something that's fairly important. It's going to help you understand this better. So, this is going to be that. Okay, I'm doing my best. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be fine. So this is one, and see this? This is the red is the skull, and then the green is the side plane, okay, of the face. So it's essentially this. I know you can see, and this, okay? Something like that, right? Now let me show you where that falls on the dude, because there's a reason this angle is very challenging, okay? Let's see here. Okay, keep it in the same colors, so that's going to be red somewhat. I don't know if I'll be able to put the... Let's try it out. So, notice what happens here. The skull is, like, we see everything from the front. The chin goes up. This is the rounded skull, but look at what happens in this angle. It's behind, right? And then the side planes, which aren't as important, admittedly, but I'll still put them in, are... One is here. Let's see if I can rotate it. Oh, I can't rotate it. Crap. Okay. That's actually a problem. I have to rotate it. Oh, okay, I can rotate it. Good. That's one. Approximately. I'm not good at this, but we'll try. At this angle, this is what happens to the side planes. See? They go inward. When, now I'm going to draw it for you and you'll understand. When we first did this angle, and you cut out the side planes, you do it like that, right? But they're actually at a slight angle. So when you look from below, right, like this, they go a little inward. That's anatomical knowledge, okay? That's just how they work. You see this angle here? So when we draw this dude at this angle, we have to account for that. And that's the challenge. So, looking up, extreme angle, like so. Center line, okay? And now, cutting the corners. So it's about here. I can see it. I can see where the temples are, because I'm so used to it. I'm not going to do a perfect job at it, but it's going to be decent enough. And that's going to be the shape of his face. I really need to sharpen my pencils. That's the shape of the sphere, okay? Now, the chin, how the heck do we connect the chin here? So here's what happens. When you look at it from front, the chin goes down and connects, right? But here the chin is inside that circle. Now you can observe it and figure out, okay, that's the red circle and the chin is somewhere around here. Or you could actually start going with the sides and the ears. So side views, side planes. The ear is going to be lower. You see how low it is in this angle? Almost at the neck, right? The neck goes like that. Pretty thick in this angle. This is the chin. But the chin goes up. See? Chin down, chin up. So from this curve, it turns to this curve. And then this connects here. Same thing. This connects here. You get this thing. That's what happens at this angle. And then the bottom plane is actually here. See? Very strange. That's how it works. And then the eyes start here. So even if we base ourselves off of the models we've used so far, we're going to have this rhythm going to the ear. So that's the cheek and cheekbone area. This is going to be our eye sockets, somewhere around this area, wrapping around the face, right? Going down, connecting to this rhythm line. The keystone is going to be somewhere around here. See this? I know it's strange, but that's how it works. And then to find the nose, again, everything squeezes, right? So the nose, instead of being here, it goes up to around maybe, probably at this angle, the tip of it is going to be here. And the base is going to be somewhere around here. And we get a full view of the bottom plane of the nose. What we earlier saw like this, now expands. This tip goes up, and we're looking from below. So we get this, and then that kind of thing wraps around the face. This is all in the shadow, okay? Sides of the nose, kind of like this. bottom of the eye sockets that are in the shadow, also facing down. And then the mouth. Look at what happens to the mouth. Remember the tuna can. Tuna can from above looked like this, right? But look at what happens from below. And from a more extreme angle from below, look at what happens to the shape. It gets rounder. And if we were to look at it from enough of an extreme angle, it's going to be like this, wrapping around, wrapping around. So what you get is a mouth that really wraps around the shape of the face. See? Now, the upper lip is facing down, and we're looking from below. So we're going to see a lot of that upper lip. Does that make sense? Think about it. Logically, if it faces down, and we are looking from down, we're facing the lower lip. So this is going to be facing down as well, just like the nose, just like the eye socket. And the lower lip faces away from us, so we're barely going to see it. Barely going to see it. We'll see more of the bottom of the lip here. And if you understand these basic things, you will be able to draw these kinds of subjects. Because you have to understand the anatomy, the lips, the upper lip facing down, lower lip facing up, diagonally, right? But still, if you understand these things, this will make a lot more sense. The hairline is actually somewhere around here, so we can just wrap. See the hair around. Hair gestures are good for hair. By the way, you asked about gestures earlier. They're good for getting the hair pattern in, and then you can start putting in the details and the individual hairs, right? Now this guy has glasses on, so it's covering everything. We have glasses all over this thing, but that's how it works. And if you have the facial hair, I'm gonna go down like that, down to the chin, right? Very strange angle, but once you understand the three-dimensional model well, you'll be able to do this. I don't see the eyes here, but I know what they look like. I know this. And by the way, the eye sockets face down, remember? So we see more of them. This is why they're so wide in this angle, right? Did you get it? It's wide. They're wide because we're looking from below. If you look at me straight ahead now, this is my eye socket, right? So you see a bit of it. But look at how it widens. Look at this line here. This. It's short. It's long. See? See the difference? Like, I can even try and draw it. So this is my eye socket right now. Something like this. And it connects to my side plane of the nose, right? And my eye rests somewhere here. Oops, you can't see anything. Somewhere here. And this is the eye socket. But look at what happens when I do this. I'll try. I can actually look at the camera and see where I'm drawing. That's good. See? And my eye still falls on the lower section. But you see the difference? Because it faces down. So when we look from below, we see more of it. That's pretty much all there is to it. I hope that makes sense. That's a tough one. That's a tough pose, but I think we got it nicely. Right? I think that's good. Also pretty symmetrical. But yeah. Let's look at some of your questions as we start to wrap it up. Thank you for doing one more. You got it. Jay, thank you. PP, oh, that's good. Sala, okay, we read that. Perfect. Yep. Hey, Travis, how are you? Dana, I'm late, but here for once. Thank you for being here. Monica, this is very helpful. Thank you. John, thank you so much. Nancy, thank you so much. Yeah, so if you have any kind of final questions, feel free to ask me. Now is the time. I'll just stretch my back soon. You can add a bit of tone to the hair just to make it more, you know, present, I guess. Even the shape of the ears within changes. Like it goes like this, very caricature-like, right? And you can see the muscles of the neck, the sternocleidomastoides, get to the pit of the neck. Look at how long the neck looks at this angle. That's just what happens in these weird angles, right? Two muscles connecting here. So if you have essentially light comes from the top, so it doesn't really matter, but maybe something like this. Shadow, clavicles. This area is pretty flat. This angle, pretty much. Muscles, the whatever you call it. Not deltoids. Trapezius, I guess. It was like this. And then you can draw a whole person before you know it. The delts connect here, you have arms, you have everything. Oh, that makes sense. Excellent, thanks. You got it, Sovereign, Jackie, awesome, thank you so much. Alessandro, could you draw the eyes as well, like he had no glasses? Yeah, I could try and place them. So the eyes are gonna lay really low, like you saw it here. So this is gonna be the corner of the eyes, and it's probably gonna be something like this here. See? And then you continue this curve, same thing on the other side. It's gonna be somewhere around here, almost symmetrical. Something like this, very low. I may have exaggerated it, maybe a little higher. And one thing you can do is open up a picture of a person that has no glasses on at this pose, and that'll help. Yeah, I think it's gonna be somewhere around here. So if the person looks ahead, their eyes are probably gonna look something like this. See? That actually makes sense. It looks a bit awkward because this eye ran to the side. This goes like that. A little less of an angle. I went a little too crazy there with the rounded shapes. And then the eyelid and the eyebrows. See? Something like that. And all of this is obviously going to be in a bit of shadow. Nose. See? Something like that. Could have done it better, but this is a really hard angle without reference. So now when I have to draw the manga, I have to look at tons of references to figure out just how to do these things, you know? By the way, this transition is not as sharp. This area here, it's a bit misleading. This is actually a very soft transition, right? So remember that, just generally speaking. It's, depending on the jaw structure, sometimes it can be sharp, but for the most part, this is a little sharper and this is softens. This is a round shape, right? See, it's a round shape. You can see it in side view, right? We saw it in side view. It's a round shape. And then it goes to the lips and to the chin and everything. Not chin, side of the jaw, lower plane of the neck. This is round. Remember, it's a round transition. It looks a little sharp here, but it's actually quite round. Got it? Julie, thank you so much. Yeah, Dwayne, start big with the drawings. Gives you a little more accuracy. I went small here, too small for myself too. Konkona, how are you? Thanks again for this extremely useful live stream. Secret de Design, thank you so much. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so we'll wrap it up. Saturday's video is going to be, again, me answering your questions. It's going to be a long one, almost an hour of me just going through all the questions. I added timestamps for each and every question, which... That's my angle. Which was a real treat. Let's flip to the best one. Maybe I'll use it for the thumbnail. The best one, I think, is this one. This is the most polished one. Terrible quality, sorry about that. This camera is gonna sit here, and then I'm gonna get something new for this. So the quality is gonna be a little better. But yeah, it's gonna be me answering your questions. And next week, I have no idea. We'll see. It's gonna be a little busy, get a little busy with the moving. Hopefully I'll have time to do the proper videos, but like, don't be surprised if by accident I miss one. I end up with this week with 3 videos, the live stream and 2. Probably gonna be 1 video per week for the next 2 weeks, and optionally a live stream. Can't promise that. Hopefully I will be able to do one. But yeah, this is it. I'm gonna thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate it. Saturday, so I can catch it from the start. Yeah, it's not gonna be live, but yeah. The problem with small drawings, 1mm can throw everything off. Yes, that is so true. Thank you, Manisha. Thank you so much, everyone. Much appreciate you being here. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. If I missed anything, just let me know in a comment. And this is fun. I just needed this practice session for myself and just to relax a bit from this week. But until next time, take care, and I will talk to you again real soon.